Dear Cancer, today we explore a deeply upsetting issue that has profoundly impacted your emotional well-being, a betrayal within your own family, possibly involving a sibling and another relative. This isn't just any ordinary family drama. It's a revelation of the unspoken burdens you've carried for far too long. Your arrival at this understanding wasn't accidental. Your intuitive and highly sensitive nature guided you here, because a crucial truth needs to be acknowledged, a truth buried beneath a facade of false peace. Their actions may not have been a direct, overt attack, but you undeniably felt the sharp sting of loss, the pain of your love being taken for granted, and your care perceived as a mere obligation. And perhaps another family member stood silently beside them, their silence, a deafening form of complicity, a betrayal in itself. This isn't about assigning blame. It's about validating your feelings, acknowledging the reality of your experience and the healing you deserve. The soul finds solace only when we articulate the truth, and today we will do precisely that. For a Cancer, betrayal often doesn't manifest as a loud, dramatic confrontation. Instead, it's a slow, insidious erosion of trust, a hidden secret, a carelessly uttered word that inflicts a deep wound, or the relentless, selfless nurturing you offer being treated as a burdensome duty. Imagine dedicating your life to building a sanctuary of love, only to discover that the person you trusted most has subtly allowed the chilling winds of indifference to penetrate its walls. In that moment, your heart doesn't shatter. It contracts, it freezes, not because of tangible loss, but because the very safe haven you painstakingly created has been violated from within. Some wounds are inflicted not by harsh words, but by the deafening silence of those who should have been your protectors. I've witnessed this countless times. Compassionate souls like yourself, the very heart of their families, finding themselves utterly alone when their own feelings are disregarded and dismissed. You, dear Cancer, are the nurturer, the emotional anchor of your family. You don't need anyone to tell you this. You feel it deep within your being, in the rhythm of your very heartbeat. You possess an uncanny ability to sense when something is amiss, a hollow promise, a strained expression of affection. These subtle shifts speak volumes to you, revealing truths that others might easily overlook. You are not merely emotional. Your emotional intelligence is profound and unwavering, as deep and steady as the still waters of a lake. Your intuition, often mislabeled as overly sensitive or moody, has always been your most reliable guide, your truest compass, directing you toward authenticity and exposing falsehood. I recall a poignant story of an older woman who dedicated her life to caring for her family. Her younger sister, whom she deeply loved, conspired with a cousin to spread malicious rumors, tarnishing her reputation. That betrayal not only shattered her heart, it shattered her faith in the very family bonds she had cherished. The Buddha wisely observed that there is no wound more profound than the rejection from someone you have loved unconditionally. We can weather life's storms, but the betrayal from those we consider our own is what truly shakes us to our core. Cancer, you've likely chosen silence, not out of forgiveness, but out of sheer exhaustion. You continue to care, to nurture, to be the dependable one. Yet within a trembling child resides whispering, "Why wasn't my love respected?" That question, buried deep within your heart, has never ceased to seek an answer. Today, I am not here to criticize your family, but to give voice to that devoted, wounded part of you that has been silenced for too long. Remember this: you are not weak, you are not overly emotional, and you are not too demanding. You are simply a person who lives authentically from the heart, and that loving nature is not a curse. It's a testament to a soul that deeply understands the true value of genuine connection. Perhaps you've conditioned yourself to give without expectation, convincing yourself that they didn't intend to hurt you, that you were merely being too sensitive. But it's time to acknowledge the validity of your feelings of being taken for granted. Has anyone ever asked you, are you tired? Has anyone ever simply sat with you not to ask for a favor, but to express their sincere gratitude for all you do? If not, let me be the first to offer you that long overdue recognition, appreciation. Take a deep breath, not to erase the past, but to create space for the truth to breathe freely. Because this pain wasn't inflicted by a single person. Another family member stood silently complicit, actively participating in this betrayal through their inaction. Betrayal doesn't always stem from the active perpetrator. It can also originate from those who choose to remain silent. This silence itself can feel like a profound betrayal, leaving you feeling vulnerable and isolated. Imagine the searing pain of realizing that someone you considered an ally, someone who was fully aware of your sacrifices, chose to stand idly by while you were being undermined. They did not defend you, not because of unawareness, but because they consciously made a choice that excluded you. Have you ever felt this profound sense of abandonment? This feeling of being held down, prevented from defending your own feelings, not by physical force, but by the weight of their silence. In my spiritual healing practice, this truth often surfaces. I don't blame the one who hurt me. I struggle to forgive the one who watched it happen in silence. I once spoke with an elderly woman whose family members remained passively silent while others gossiped about her, never once intervening to defend her integrity. That silence, that lack of support, can be far more painful than any direct accusation. Cancer. You've been conditioned to believe that maintaining peace is the ultimate virtue. You've allowed things to slide simply to avoid confrontation. But did you know that silence can also be a weapon, a tool used to inflict harm? It's a choice, often aligning with the perpetrator, a tacit endorsement of their actions. As a nurturing water sign, you carry the sacred mission of the caregiver, the creator of emotional safety for others. Yet, this role can inadvertently foster the expectation that you must endure, yield, and remain silent to maintain family harmony. You dislike chaos. You crave peace, even at the cost of your own inner turmoil. Because you frequently choose this path of peaceful compromise, those who remain silent find it easy to side with the opposing party. They assume you'll absorb the blow as you always have. They take your patience for granted, using it as a convenient rug to sweep their own cowardice under. But your soul can no longer bear this immense weight. God does not operate in the realm of noise. He sees everything, every tear you've shed, every silent act of complicity, every moment you felt your sanctuary tremble. No one can deceive him. He doesn't require you to seek revenge. He wants you to recognize that this was never a fair, equitable partnership. Let it go completely and without resentment. How many times have you left a family gathering feeling like an emotional servant, present yet valued only for the care you provide, expressing your feelings, but being unheard, quietly exhausted with no one to ask why? Your soul has known this truth for a long time. You simply didn't dare to name it. You feared losing what little connection remained, worried they'd label you too sensitive or dramatic. But today, I urge you to be brave. Name the truth. Acknowledge that someone enabled this betrayal and you no longer have to accept it. If no one has ever told you this, let me be the one. It was wrong for them to stand idly by. It was wrong for them to choose silence, and you don't have to carry that burden anymore. You've carried the feeling of being devalued for far too long into every family dinner, every gift you've given, and every time you've helped despite your own reservations. Lay that burden down here, in this moment, in this sacred space where truth is spoken not to attack, but to liberate your soul. Why did they choose you to bear this particular wound? There's a truth buried beneath layers of memory that you're about to uncover, and it will change everything. I know you've asked yourself countless times, what did I do wrong? You've examined every action, every emotion, fearing your own sensitivity caused this distance. You've strived to be more understanding, less demanding. Yet the more you gave, the more they took, leading you to ask, why today? I want to state this clearly. They don't hate you. They simply couldn't tolerate the emotional depth you embody. You did nothing wrong. You were simply different. You are the one who dared to live a life guided by love, who didn't chase fleeting connections. You created a safe space while others lived in emotional chaos, and because of this, they saw you as a mirror reflecting their own shallowness and instability. When people lack the courage to confront their own reflections, they often turn their disdain toward the mirror itself. I remember a woman who shared her experience. I was always the different child. I didn't participate in the frivolous drama or chase superficial fun. I nurtured deep relationships and spoke of building lasting family bonds, and they called me weak and old-fashioned. She knew she was simply different, and that difference made her a target. Cancer. You are the sign of emotional value, where loving energy settles and becomes tangible. You are where seeds of care are planted with the hope that you will nurture them into a flourishing garden. You were born into a family that may not have understood the value of patience, that mocked your sensitivity, that labeled you as fragile. But you were never meant to be shallow. Your soul came here to build, to create lasting emotional bonds, and that terrifies those who grapple with their own emptiness. Your presence illuminates their lack of emotional foundation. They didn't intend to hurt you. They simply couldn't handle the depth within you. You've spent years doubting yourself because you weren't allowed to live in harmony with your own soul. You spoke little but loved much, remaining patient while carrying disappointment for far too long. You walked away in silence, trying to avoid conflict, even as your trust was crumbling. Then they labeled you as moody, dramatic, or clingy. But those labels weren't the truth. They were simply projections of their own discomfort and inadequacy. Today, I'm not here to analyze you. I'm here to protect you, to safeguard that part of your soul that values sincerity, the part you've hidden, fearing no one would understand. Your devotion, your compassion, and your responsible spirit do not need to apologize for making others uncomfortable. You were born to live truthfully with your emotions, and no one has the right to make you feel you need permission to be yourself. You've endured long enough trying to fit into a mold that wasn't yours. Today, you don't have to force anything anymore. You don't need to keep overgiving. You were chosen to break the cycle of emotional superficiality. You are not the strange one in your family. You are the one who kept the heart warm in a room full of flickering candles. After all the wounds, what did you choose? You didn't retaliate. You didn't cling to resentment. You chose to quietly rebuild your own world, even when no one turned back to apologize. That was when a new chapter began. There's a truth. Your soul has known for a long time, but your heart didn't want to accept it. Some people will never apologize. It's not because they don't know they hurt you. It's because they lack the courage to confront their own failings. You waited, caring in silence, hoping they would eventually recognize your worth and admit their faults. Yet the years passed, and you, the one still holding on to that hope, began to run out of patience. I once waited for an apology for 15 years, only to realize that some people will never grow enough to admit they were wrong because they've never truly valued themselves. How could they ever know how to value someone else? Dear Cancer, you carry a sacred gift, the ability to rebuild from emotional ruins. But because of this strength, you often endure the deepest betrayals of trust. You wait for something that others aren't capable of giving. You hope they will understand on their own, but waiting in silence can be one of the loneliest forms of pain. The Bible teaches us about forgiveness, urging us to forgive not out of weakness, but as a profound act of reclaiming our own peace. I once met a woman in her 70s whose children had taken her lifelong sacrifices for granted without ever offering an explanation. For years, she lived in silence, never seeking reconciliation. When I asked her if she resented them, she simply smiled a calm and gentle smile. When the ocean becomes barren, does the river ever blame the ocean? It simply finds a new sea to flow into. Dear Cancer, forgiveness doesn't mean you condone their actions. It doesn't mean everything is fine. Forgiveness means you no longer wish to carry that heavy burden. It's about untying the invisible string that connects you to those who have devalued you. It's about asking yourself, do I deserve peace of mind? Letting go isn't about them deserving forgiveness. It's about you deserving peace. You've walked far enough with that wound, through sleepless nights and frustrating conversations in moments when you wanted to speak up but chose stability instead. You are allowed to sit down, not waiting for someone to return, but so you can rise and move forward without dragging old sorrows behind you. You don't need anyone to validate your worth. You need space to breathe, a quiet corner where your soul can feel secure again. Have you ever wondered, if I let go, will I lose them forever? Here's the truth. No one can truly leave you if they were never really there for you. You are not losing them. You are releasing an illusion to embrace what is real. You deserve a love that honors your contributions. You don't need them to change. You just need to choose yourself again. From this moment on, don't let your life hinge on an apology that never came. Don't wait by a door that never opened, and don't cling to a bond that only you were trying to maintain. Dear Cancer, I invite you to sit quietly for a moment and ask yourself, did I really lose them? Or did I release something that no longer held me with respect? You need to understand that you are not as alone as you think. Your true family is searching for you. Some may call themselves family by blood, but they never ask, are you tired? Do you need help? Do you need to be appreciated? Then there are those you've never met yet. When they look into your eyes, they recognize your journey. They sit beside you, not to take, but to share in the quiet, steady rhythm of life. Dear Cancer, you are a being of depth and substance. You don't crave empty praise or chaotic crowds. You seek a connection reliable enough that you can finally be yourself without having to be on guard. Astrology calls you the nurturer, the one who brings spirit into matter, the one who inherits the lessons of patience and compassion. Because of this, the universe always sends the right souls your way at the right time. You've stepped out of the old circle, the one where you were the only one tending to a garden that had long gone fallow. Let me share a story. A 5-year-old man who lives alone after leaving a conflict-ridden family. He tends his garden and enjoys the quiet on his porch. Every week, his young neighbor, whom he met only a year ago, brings him a warm meal just because. Not family, not a lifelong friend, but that simple, consistent act of kindness held more value than anything he ever received from his blood relatives. Family is not a place where you must stay silent. It's not where you clean up the mess or shrink yourself for others' comfort. Family is where you can exhale and someone cherishes that breath with their whole heart. You have never truly been alone, dear Cancer. You just haven't met someone who could call your soul by its true name. Your true name is not moody, dramatic, or clingy. Your true name is the nurturer, the guardian of safety, the one who believes in loyal love until the very end. There is a door opening not for someone else to walk in, but for you to walk out of the cramped room you once locked yourself in. You thought, if I leave, who will hold this place together? You don't have to hold it anymore. What awaits you is a new foundation, a new home, a community where you don't have to ask for permission to be valued. Are you ready to receive this new family, one that loves your soul unconditionally? Dear Cancer, you've walked through experiences no one truly knows but your heart remembers. If one day they return with genuine respect, you will know. Not because of the past, but because peace has finally arrived in the present. May you always find enough stillness to choose what is best for yourself.